Welcome to our Resilient Founder series, which provides insights from experienced entrepreneurs around the world at a time when the business world is facing formidable challenges. Today, we have with us George Sun, a Master in Finance graduate from 2001, and he's going to be sharing his story from Beijing. He's at home, as all of us are these days. The company is called KK Mandarin, right? So tell us a little bit about the company.
The company is one of major products is teaching foreigners, including overseas Chinese, to learn online, purely online, learning Chinese language and culture. We are now tailored for young students aged from 4 years old up to 14 years old. We're also teaching Chinese reading and writing for the domestic market in China.
So George, we are going to be talking now about the current crisis, the pandemic that had hit the world, that got into China, was the first country, and how that is affecting your company.
For this crisis, actually, compare speaking, the sector we are in, online education, is relatively lucky. And we're blessed because we don't have any offline business yet. So we actually, at the beginning, we received increasingly demand for students want to learning at home. So we have to build a bigger team for services and operations. However, we facing the challenges how we can actually convert these customers into our paid customers, because during the crisis we are all offering free classes because we want to do something for the society. The problem is we're facing how about cash flow? The cash flow pressure is getting much higher until now. That's why we are also switching to the new business, trying to build up the new revenue line as well.
And you were mentioning that you were recruiting more people because you needed to grow. Now, how do you do that when you are, basically on a lockdown at home?
So we actually hiring back some employee before, and also arranged some, by contract basis, or even just, sorry, we need your help. Would you like to join us at home so we can provide some services?
Now, you were mentioning about the cash flow challenges, which normally are the challenges that entrepreneurs face either when they are in a crisis situation like the one we are, or also when they have high growth.
Number one, we actually changed our big offices into much smaller offices, because during crisis, we actually have to be at home for more than almost 2 months. So we found our office is such a waste. And until half a month ago, we actually rented the new offices. It's co-working spaces. That's why only 1/3 of our employees go into offices, and not every day neither. We actually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and another batch of employees going there. Most of the time, we only have a conference call in the morning regularly every day, 10 o'clock in the morning, and every day 8 o'clock in the evening. As a result, actually, after 20 days, employees get used to it. We found actually it can be more efficient working online. So we found actually original offices is very good decision. Just get rid of original office. We don't have to need such a big one. That's number one. Second, we do actually negotiate and restructure our compensation structure. We have no choices. We talk to each employee level by level. Look, we want to make sure this boat, we are all in the same boat. We cannot rely on outside funding anymore. Going forward within this year, VC market is down, and it's, for me as a CEO, it's very difficult to raise external money from investor in the very near future. So now we have to rely on internal cash flow. We are all in the same boat. So from CEO level and also funding team, we all cut down our compensation for half. For the middle level and the junior level, we have no change. However, we negotiate down the base salary. We're raising very high compensation level. So try to maintain their overall compensation. However, in terms of base compensation, is actually cut down 20% roughly for middle and the lower level. Luckily, because the compensation for as a reward getting much better, for this level of employee, their total compensation have no change in February and March.
Something that many entrepreneurs are facing now, cutting salaries, and whether they cut salaries of everyone, they only cut the salaries of top management. Some people even are asking whether they should be doing voluntary. This idea of cutting the top and then for the junior just adjusting it from fixed and variable, I think it's a great
Yes.
It's a great idea.
Where healthcare and retirement benefit plan is all kept as the same. Third one, we negotiate down with all intermediary parties about service charge because, for example, accounting fees, auditing fees, and also some external services, because we are doing online videoing sometimes, we said, look, we are all in a difficult time.
George, one question, because you mentioned the external financing before. So I'm guessing that you already got venture capital, and actually you were a former venture capitalist. So can you tell us a little bit how much money you raised before the crisis and how much money you were planning to raise in the next round of financing, if you were planning to raise capital?
We raised roughly $2 million for our first round. Investor is from Bertelsmann and one VC firm from Silicon Valley. Right now, we don't have a plan to raise capital because the market is really difficult. Meantime, we don't have very convincing data, operation perspectives to show them neither. So right now, what I can do is I already changed the plan. Now I can guarantee our cash flow is safe for at least 12 months. Okay. So now we're actually much more relaxed right now because we're getting slimmer. We got a much smaller office, but our efficiency per person is getting much higher.
Maybe can you share with us, I don't know if there is data that you can share, like the number of classes you were doing before the crisis, a number of classes that you are now. I don't know if you report number of classes or customers, whatever is the key metric that you are using, just to have a sense.
Okay, actually number of classes both in overseas market and domestic increased quite a lot, roughly increased 30% to 40%, roughly. In overseas market, there's more students, particularly for overseas Chinese family. They want to have their children to learn much more often. Used to be only twice a week, maximum 3 times a week for learning these classes. Now they say, oh, we can do 5 times a week. Now we are actually doing the new classes program also because people being forced to stay at home for 2 months and more than 2 months. Mental issue and lots of anxiety, uncertainty issue. So we are tailored classes for parents and also students cope with this emotion issue.
So yeah, there is always this say that when there are crises, there are opportunities, and clearly this is showing in your case. Now, the final question I have for you regards your experience at LBS, because you did a master in finance. So yes, probably that has been very helpful now navigating with this crisis that for you it has been a cash flow, and I think for most of the entrepreneurs, a cash flow crisis.
I chose the entrepreneurial finance. I always want to become entrepreneur as a dream, even when I just do the master in finance. I think very important, they taught us cash flow. CEO's first responsibility actually is cash flow. Second, during crisis, alumni community gave us a lot of support. In China, as a member of, I used to be the LBS Beijing alumni leader. Now I'm a member for the Global Alumni Council. They gave us a lot of support and advice how to cope with the community. And so at home, I actually, first time in my life, I wrote an English song lyrics. I cannot remember, I imagine I can write a song lyrics as a finance guy. However, I think LBS told us, as we're proud of, we are a very diversified community and anything can happen. So, so no, I think I miss time for LBS actually very much.
Well, George, we are getting to the end of the interview. It has been super interesting talking to you and
Same
you
here.
know, learning from your experience. I think to summarize a little bit the three, what I got, like the three key components of your strategy now dealing with the crisis has been renegotiating the rental agreement that you were not so successful. So finally you have to break it out and pay the
Yes.
penalty. Also these adjustments of salary, which I like a lot, the idea of cutting the top management, then for the juniors, just making a change between fixed and variable, and that way they can even make a better use of the time. And finally, also negotiating with third parties, which are, probably they have to understand that this is a time of crisis, we're going down, but then we will go up and they will be working on the long term with you. So I think it's a great idea. I really enjoyed talking to you. This is LBS Resilient Founder Series. Thank you for being there. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's esip@london.edu.